What is up, everyone? Brandon Ferst, aka First Report, representing the First Off the Bench podcast network. Everyone comes off the bench. We are first. Welcome in to another edition, the postseason edition of the Changeup here on the network. Break down everything Major League Baseball has to offer. Took a week off last week just because of our schedules, but we are back with you now, ready to break down the NL and ALCS for you. And look ahead to that. But before we do that, we will look back this past week. And it is, of course, time for me to introduce my co-host, Bryanna Winner. You can find Brianna at bwinner12. Brianna, how you doing tonight?
It's been a busy 2 weeks, and it's actually been 2 weeks.
It has, yes.
Yeah, because I totally could have last week, but I'm like, I need a day.
All
After dealing with state golf, I'm like, I can't.
No worries.
I
no
can't.
worries.
I'm just happy to talk baseball. I'm so happy that golf is over in this area, and I'm good.
Yes, it's that time of year here, at least, for baseball wise, at least it's the postseason. So we kind of turn our attention to the championship series. As we speak, we are recording Monday, the 17th of October. We are in a rain delay for game 5 of the ALDS between the Guardians and the Yankees. That will more than likely be done by the time this pod has dropped.
And we know who we want to win.
Yes, we definitely know who we want to win.
But the question is, are they going to be able to?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. And I will say, just touching on this, if there is a rain delay today, and they have to play tomorrow, that's MLB's nightmare. They will do everything in their power to get it done today. But if that doesn't happen, I think it helps the Yankees, because now you have a chance, at least it's still a small chance, but there is a small chance you do see Garrett Cole in game 5. If the game were to go today, I don't know how he gets out there. I don't really even know how he gets out there tomorrow, but he has a better shot of that happening after throwing 110 pitches last night to even that series up at 2. But we are going to start with the wild card and division series recap. Just a few storylines to touch on. We got Pujols, Molina, and Wainright's kind of swan song doesn't end in Hollywood fashion. They get swept 2-0 by the Phillies in the wild card series. The Guardians beat Tampa on a 15th inning walk-off, and just when we thought that was going to be the marathon of the postseason, not even close. Anyways, they do finish that one off. And speaking of that marathon, you had Seattle's Cinderella run after they took down Toronto, came from behind to win that game 2. They end up getting swept by Houston, and it ends in 18 innings, 0-0 until the 18th. Brian Pena hits a solo home run. The Astros are moving on to the ALCS for, I believe, the 6th or 7th year in a row. And then one that really puts a smile on my face, the Mets fail to become the first 100+ win team to not make the NLDS, as they lose in 3 to the Padres. More on them in a moment. And the other one, obviously, the defending champs, the Atlanta Braves. There will be no repeat. We will not have a repeat champion. The Braves fall in 4 to Philadelphia. Brianna, what were your thoughts on those storylines, or any other storylines that you caught your attention during the wild card and division series rounds?
Well, the Mets aren't the only one to do that this year, and I know we'll talk about that later.
At least division series, but yeah.
But they're still not the only 100-win team to lose this year.
Oh, yeah. I was just, yeah.
And it makes you very happy.
All of us.
Look, I was really hoping Seattle could have pulled that out. Like, I was in the office watching this, and I'm like, when is this going to end? And I know I was texting you, we're like, is this ever going to end? And then we're like, shoot.
Well, you were the one who had to tell me, because I believe at that point I had switched to the Padre game.
Yeah, I still was like, no.
And I knew by your text, because all I saw was someone broke the tie. And I knew immediately, okay, if she says someone, she isn't even going to put that team's name down. So I knew who that was, but that was a tough one.
Yeah, it sucked. All I said was someone finally scored.
There it is.
I didn't. Hey, if it was the Mariners, I still wouldn't have told you. If it was the Mariners, I would have made you look it up yourself. But yeah, I was just like, well, that sucked. And it was during the Husker game, and I was watching that at the same time. So it was a interesting night. Obviously, it's sad to see Pujols, Molina, and Wainright end on this, but at the same time, they had a hell of a run, especially this year. I don't mind the Guardians winning. Now, if they could pull it out today, I'll be happy. And as soon as I saw that Philadelphia won, I was shocked.
They
that
dominated. The
I
games
was
that they
shocked.
won, they dominated.
Yeah, no, and I was telling my coworker, and I'm like, hey, so Phillies just beat the Braves, and the Braves are out. He's like, what?
Yeah.
We were just like, well then, we're fine with this. I don't mind. I know one of the other media personnel here doesn't mind because he's a huge Philadelphia fan and was very much rooting for the Eagles too. So what happened in that game? There was a fight, I guess.
It wasn't a fight. Someone just got tackled a little harder than they should have in a 9-point game that didn't really matter. It's masculinity, adrenaline gets the best of you. Nothing crazy. We didn't have any what was it? Who was it? Seattle? No, it was New Orleans and Tampa Bay. Nobody got thrown out. There were no punches thrown. Just some, like I said, maybe a rougher tackle than you would like to see, but it didn't bother me one bit. 6-0 helps though, that's for sure.
Well, I'm going to mute up now because it's your turn.
Yeah, obviously for the DS and the wild card, the one that jumps out for me is obviously the Padres taking down the Mets in incredible fashion. I'll be honest. They dominated the 2 games that they played. They hit 4 home runs off Max Scherzer and then took care of business off Chris Bassett. DeGrom got him, but I mean, that's pretty much what's going to happen when you face the DeGrominator. And that's what happened. So Padres 6-0 in game 3. Obviously, the story of that game was Joe Musgrove becoming the first pitcher to go 7+ innings and only allow 1 or less hits in a winner-take-all game. The Padres as a team only allow 1 hit through that. Another historical thing there. Only team to do that in a winner-take-all. It's going to be very, very interesting going forward. Obviously, after the Padres took care of the Mets, it was time for them to take on the Dodgers. And we didn't do a pod last week, but if we would have, I would have said one thing: just don't get swept.
Well, and you had been saying it a lot. Like if you had taken them on in like what, a 5 or 7 game series, you would have been fine. If it was a 3-game series, then
well,
no.
I had it kind of backwards. So I felt like a 1-game series, or the smaller series, the better. Now what I saw this past weekend, we might win a 7-game series as well. The way the Padres got the job done, the pitching was fantastic. The bullpen still, I believe, has yet to give up a run. Didn't give up a run in that entire series. They got the job done. Blake Snell pitched game 3. It was a grind for him, but he got through it. The Padres win 2-1. And halfway through game 3, it was like the mystique of the Dodgers disappeared. I talked about, the Dodgers and how much I A, hate them, and B, am scared bleepless of them in a series like this. It's a healthy hate. It's a respectful hate. If you can have that. Because this team has just been so good and so dominant. But halfway through game 3, I'm going, 1 through 3, Betts, Turner, Trey Turner, Freddie Freeman. Yeah, those guys are really good. But everybody else is just kind of there. Max Muncy has had good years in the past. Justin Turner has had fantastic success against the Padres. That didn't happen. And then the Padres were also able to take advantage of Dave Roberts pulling his pitchers after the 5th inning, really no matter what. I mean, even on Saturday, game 4, elimination game for the Dodgers, Anderson is dominating, and he pulled him after 5. He will keep his job, Dave Roberts. I honestly thought that he was going to lose his job the minute that game ended. I thought, he might have to be on his own for a ride back to LA. That's not the case. They've come out and said they're going to keep him around. I think that's a good move for them. But for the Padres, this is a team, a city, a fan base that needs this so badly. There were so many of us, at least for me and the people that I talk with, like we said, just win one game. If you could win two, fantastic. I don't think any of us really expected them to not only win this series, but win it in 4. And you know what? If you did, fantastic, good for you. But you also haven't been a Padre fan long enough. If you thought that this was going to end well, I'm sorry. I've been a Padre fan all my life. I am still waiting for the other shoe to drop. But one of the most magical nights, I would say, ever. The 7th inning that will live in Padres memory, or Padres fans' memories forever, where they score 5 runs, go from being down 3-0 to 5-3 to win that series 3-1. They win it in 4, and they did me a solid. I didn't have to decide between Game 5 and Eagles on Sunday night. So I thank the Padres for not making me do that, even though as much as I love the Eagles, I would have been watching the Padres in a Game 5 game. But the Padres moving on to face the Philadelphia Phillies, and that is a perfect segue into our NLCS preview. We'll break it down in terms of who has the advantage offensively, defensively, pitching, and then, of course, we decide who wins and how many games. Brianna, I'm going to give you the honors because I feel like I've been talking for 7 years. But we're going to give you the honors. Who do you think has the advantage offensively? Padres, Phillies.
I think it just depends on who has an on day and who has an off day.
Wow. Come on, come out on a limb. Go out on a limb.
I think it's going to be the Padres.
Okay. I like that. I mean, I'm on the other side. I think Philly, at least right now, maybe if you write down these lineups and you look at them, oh man, the Padres maybe have more firepower, but I think the way the Phillies have been hitting the ball, I mean, they 9-1, or I know they scored 9 runs the final game against the Braves, but they were putting up a good amount of runs. I know Kyle Wright really shut him down in the one game the Braves won. But Philly's offense, I think that's their biggest strength. Obviously Bryce Harper is a fantastic, fantastic baseball player. Very, very excited to see these two offenses go up against each other. But personally, I would say Philly does have the advantage offensively, but we'll see how this series goes. I'll get the defensive side started. This one's really easy for me. Philadelphia is one of the worst teams defensively, just statistically on paper and the eye test. The Padres aren't fantastic by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think they're better than the Phillies. I believe they have the advantage defensively in this series. Brianna, what are your thoughts? Who has the advantage with the glove?
I think it's going to be the Padres, but obviously certain positions for Phillies are better than others. Mm-hmm. So like if you look at Schwarber and Harper, then like those positions are on lock. It's most of the other stuff that they're going to struggle with. And then I'm going to move on to pitching because I've really been wanting to say this one. Padres.
Yeah, this one's, I would say, Aaron Nola. Yes, sorry, I just wanted to make sure I got the right Nola in because I was like, wait, because be the battle of the Nolas as well. Austin with the Padres, Aaron with the Phillies, but Aaron Nola, the starting pitcher for the Phillies. I think he's the only guy that I would want from that side to fit into my rotation. And I don't even know where he'd fit in if we're being honest. So I think it's very, very plain to see the Padres have the advantage pitching, both starting and relief pitching. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how that goes up against those really good bats in Philadelphia.
Well, the Phillies haven't decided who's going up against Darvish yet.
Yeah.
It could be Nola.
I mean, I would probably assume it would be either Nola or Wheeler. But that is me not knowing exactly who started game 4 of the NLDS. But those are, those are the top 2 guys that I would probably assume. I was going to say Joe Girardi is choosing between, but that's not the case. It's Rob Thompson, I believe is his name, who actually got sent. Sorry. Syndergaard. Thank you. So I would assume
Nola pitched game 3.
Okay, so I would assume we'll see Zach Wheeler. Once again, don't put it in Sharpie or anything like that, but that would be my assumption, unless they want to go with a bullpen game 1, which would be fantastic. But I think they are going to I would go Zach Wheeler myself, but we'll see how that goes. But I think overall, no matter what happens, Syndergaard, Wheeler, Nola, those 3 aren't on the level of Darvish, Snell, and Musgrove. And then the bullpens, the Padres bullpen is lights out these days, and the Phillies bullpen is getting the job done. We'll just say that. So
Suarez pitched game 1, Wheeler pitched game 2.
Okay.
So it's probably going to be one of those two to start.
Yeah. Maybe it might be Suarez, Ranger Suarez. I forgot about him just because it is now a 7-game series. Little bit longer you'll need. So you might see Ranger Suarez, which would be great. I think the Padres have the advantage. Really, no matter, unless Nola is throwing, I think the Padres have an advantage when Darvish is throwing, period. So now it's the time to make that choice and piss Brandon off, Brianna, if you want to. Who wins the series and how many games?
I wouldn't piss you off.
Oh,
Not in this series, I wouldn't. In the Dodgers series, I probably would have.
yeah, that's all right. I would have picked the Dodgers too. I'm going to be honest.
Hell, if it's Houston or Yankees, I probably would go against the Padres right now, just until we see who it actually is going to come out of that game. Padres. I have to remember if this is a 5-game series or
seven.
Padres in, I want to say 5.
I like it. I'm going to go Padres in 6. I do think they get a few games. I think it's maybe 2-2 heading into Philly, and then the Padres do win 2 games on the road, something like that. I really do want game 6 to be the end. I want us, and I say us, San Diegans, to be able to celebrate with the team when they win, hopefully when they win the pennant. We saw the videos of Will Myers at all the bars downtown buying shots for everyone after game 4 victory. I would love for that to happen. But it would obviously have to happen game 6 or game 7. And I don't think I have the stomach for a game 7, if I'm being completely honest. So let's get it done in 6. Padres advance, do it at home. And we don't have to, stress too much on that game 7 side of things. But I do think the Padres do win this series. And this is the most confident I've been with the Padres going into a series so far, for what that's worth. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but moving on to the ALCS side of things, it's going to be a little more tricky just because as I'm speaking now, it's 4:30, at least Pacific time, and it is still raining pretty heavily in New York and the tarp is still on the field. So who knows when this game will go off, but we do know that Houston is going to host.
Unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately, they are going to host the ALCS. Who will be there on Tuesday or Wednesday? Excuse me. That is the other question, but we will dive into this. In terms of really all 3 of these teams, let's pretend somehow, some way, all 3 of these teams are in the mix. The advantage, who would you give the advantage offensively to? If New York advances or if Cleveland advances, Brianna?
If New York advances, it's New York.
Yep.
If Cleveland advances, I think they're pretty even. But if New York has the lineup that everybody wants at this point. So offensively, if it's Yankees, it's going to be Yankees.
Gotcha. I'm going to go Astros no matter what on this one, just because of the way the Yankees have been playing lately. They're not putting up the runs that they need to. I know they got the job done last night, and they get a lot of it done through the long ball. And I completely understand that. And chicks dig the long ball. I love that. But when you face good pitching, you need to kind of string some hits together. Put those things together and see what's going on. I don't know if the Yankees can do that. I don't know if they have a whole lot of those quote unquote contact hitters. They can hit 4 or 5 home runs off of you. But I mean, I hate to bring this up, but the Angels hit 7 home runs in one game and still lost. So it's not.
Don't remind me.
I didn't. That was the only one. That was the only exhibit I could grab. I'm sorry.
I still don't know how they lost that game by 1. Don't remind me.
I think it was 7 solo home runs and they lost 8-7. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it was something like that. But my point being,
I remember it was to the A's.
Oh, even worse. Anyways, but with that being the case, with an offense that is so reliant on home runs, I do think you have somewhat of a, it gives me reason to pause when I look at that. And I just think the Astros a little more well balanced overall. Defensively though, I'm actually going to go Cleveland. If Cleveland advances, I think Cleveland might be the best defensive team maybe still in this. And then if the Yankees advance, I would go Houston. Never really been a big fan of what the Yankees defensively put out there. They've never really had, fantastic defensive guys. Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton are not in the corner outfields because of their defensive prowess, and that's fine. But you do have players. I mean, Cleveland, like I said, that defense, you're not going to get a whole lot of cheap runs off that defense. Houston, I'd say probably about above average, and the Yankees, I would say average. So if Cleveland advances, and hopefully that's what happens, because that's what this podcast is rooting for, I give the advantage to the Guardians. And if the Yankees advance, I give the advantage to the Astros. Whew. All right, Brianna, what are your thoughts? Who gets the advantage defensively?
I'd probably go the same way as you.
Yeah.
Just because obviously Yankees, they don't have much. Hey, just on the bright side, they've at least stayed healthy. And that's all anybody cares about right now, is the fact that they've made it this far healthy. Especially because usually at some point, Rizzo's either injured, LeMahieu's are either injured, Stanton or Judge is injured. They are healthy at least.
Yeah, it's a good call.
And I commend them for staying healthy.
Yeah.
But defensively, I don't think they can beat Houston.
I agree. Yeah, I think that was pretty cut and dry there. And finally, the pitching side of things. Who has the advantage, Brianna? If Cleveland advances, who has the advantage if the Yankees advance?
If the Yankees advance, I think it's just going to depend on who throws who on whatever day. Because, if it's Garrett Cole, then obviously the Yankees have it. But otherwise, it's probably going to be Houston. Cleveland, I really want to say Cleveland, but I'm not quite sure. It's not as easy as Padres versus Phillies.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a tough one. Cleveland, they got Shane Bieber. I like McKenzie. I've always liked Cal Quantrill. In the bullpen, Class A is really, really nasty. But you got to get a lot done before you get to Class A. I would say I would give the advantage to Houston if Cleveland advances, barely, just because of the Verlander factor. I really do like Javier, what he threw down there, Framber Valdez. I definitely doesn't look like a athlete, but he is an athlete. I love that. If the Yankees advance, I agree with you. It is kind of Garrett Cole Day, Yankees. Anyone else? I'd probably go Houston on that. I just think Garrett Cole is far and away the ace of that team, and they don't really have a true number two. I know Severino's there, and they'll throw some guys in there, try and figure that out, but not too big on that. So see how that goes. But Brianna, actually, no, I'll make this pick first, because
I was gonna say you go first.
No, I'll go first on this one. So if the Yankees advance and win tonight, I have the Astros in 7. I just think the Astros, a lot of this also is the Astros didn't have to play a play-in series. And the Yankees and Guardians, one of the teams already had to play, or a wild card series, whatever you want to call it. But both the Yankees and Guardians have already had to play 2 extra games and maybe 2 or 3 extra days besides Houston. So I just think the advantage will go to Houston. We talked about Yankees versus Houston pitching matchups. Right now, Houston has that advantage. Because everyone's pretty much going to be healthy. They'll be not healthy, rested, I should say, ready to roll on that side of things. Now, if Cleveland advances, I love y'all. I think the Guardians are one of the best stories in baseball, but I have the Astros at 5. I just think the Astros are too good. I don't like them. Never will, but they're a good baseball team, whether they're cheating or not. They're one of the best teams in the American League. You don't get to 6 or 7 ALCSs for nothing. And, they may be doing a new way of cheating, but they're not doing the same thing they used to. We have to imagine that's the case, but it pains me to say it, but I'm just giving it to you straight. Brianna, what about you? Give us the who wins in how many games?
So just like you, I'm going to go Houston, but in terms of number, I'm going to go the other way around.
Okay.
I don't think the Yankees will make it to 7, especially with their pitching.
Okay.
Sorry, with their pitching, they're not going to do it. Cleveland, I think, could go to 7.
Okay.
We all know who we want to win.
Yes, 100%.
If I would rather it be Yankees over Astros, but it's not happening.
I was just going to ask that. I was going to be my
follow-up. I don't like
either. I don't like if next week when we're recording, we're talking about Astros Yankees, I have to ask, who are you cheering for?
I don't like either, but I'd rather have the Yankees.
Fair enough. I feel the same. But see, now I have a different, now I'm looking at it.
But who would you want to face the Padres?
Exactly. It's no longer who cheated. It's no longer who I hate. It's who makes it easier.
No matter what, I'm rooting for the Padres. No matter what, I'm rooting for those Padres. But I would rather somebody beat Houston first.
Yeah, well, look, I with all due respect to the Guardians, I think we all know that the easiest path for the Padres to win a World Series would be Guardians win tonight and Guardians win the ALCS. Go from there. I think the Padres would be underdogs against either the Yankees or the Astros, and I'm okay with that. That's a problem that I would love to have in a few weeks, but still some stuff we got to get through first. But Brianna, that's all we got today. Any final thoughts as we get ready to start the championship series?
I don't know if you saw what they did in Seattle, but they're like, the video said, you've heard of a 7th inning stretch? How about a 14th inning stretch?
Yes, they got pretty close.
I don't know if the Guardians did that with their 15 inning game, but obviously considering the fact that the Mariners and Astros played 2 full baseball games in a night, they had to do something.
Yeah, and combined to score 1 run still blows my mind. And it was a home run too. Wasn't even, wild pitch, something like that. But
still didn't appreciate it. But I also didn't appreciate the fact that the Huskers could not get the win over Purdue, and I'd rather have the Huskers than Purdue.
Have they won a game yet?
Huh? Yeah.
Has Nebraska won a game?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they won last week. They beat Rutgers.
Oh, Rutgers. Oh, okay. I thought it was Oklahoma.
No, God, no.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why I was like, wait, what? But no, I got you.
No, and I believe they beat Indiana too.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, no, it's just that one. They lost by less than a touchdown, so it sucks.
Well, my USC Trojans were the only thing that kept me away from a perfect weekend. I had my Padres win, my Eagles win, and then 2-point conversion gone awry. It's all good.
All good. Who's the better team now?
I will tell you in 2 months when they play.
Right now?
I don't know. I would still take USC.
No. UCLA all the way.
Anyways, before we get into this college football podcast, apparently, I just want to thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Changeup presented by the First Off the Bench Podcast Network. Everyone comes off the bench. We are first. It's time for y'all to go wash your hands and stop hating, everybody. We'll talk to you all very soon. Enjoy the games and take care.